Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media account. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now, looking at the economic calendar for next week, I've got a couple things. Nothing on Monday. We have Powell at noontime discussing what? I don't know. It says discussion at the Economic Club of Washington. So anytime he speaks, the market was probably going to react. Then we have from FOMC speaker at 9:15 a.m. on Wednesday, which is Williams, and Barr at 10 p.m. And we got Weller at 1:45. Nothing as far as news other than Fed speakers. Thursday, unemployment claims at 8:30. Let's see, Friday, consumer sentiment at 10, and Weller speaks at 12:30. Harker speaks at 4 p.m., which is after market closes. So a lot of Fed speaking this week, Powell being the big one, which would be Tuesday at 12 p.m. Make a mental note of that. Now, as far as the put-to-call ratio, I posted something on Twitter about everybody is still in the calls. The put-to-call ratio is very, very low. It's at 0.57. Everyone's on the call side. So I do have Microsoft up. I don't want to start with that yet. Put SPY up for now. Everyone is on the call side. The last Thursday there was a daily candle outside the Kellner channel. Anytime a full body candle is outside it, it comes back in it. Shortly after, right here, had a couple, then it came back in, tested the middle Kellner channel, went down to the bottom. We'll probably end up seeing the same thing. I think we're going to get a rug pull this week. We'll have to see what happens. So I would keep an eye on SPY underneath, we'll say 410. If we push to 405 to 400, 400 would be a big support area. And if we lose 400, we could end up seeing, let's see, 395. Basically every $5, 390, 385. Then we get 380 would be a really, really, really big area. Who knows how far we'll drop. But usually when we get outside the Kellner channel, we usually come back and test the middle of the Kellner channel, which is the 20 EMA on the daily, which is right around the 401 area. So definitely can see that. Be keeping an eye on that. And we could also get over the 418, 420 area and fill that gap. That's what right around 421. Not much of a gap. It's like maybe 50 cents. Tiny gap fill, but then we get 430. So we definitely keep an eye on both directions. But I think what we're going to end up dropping this week with all the drama surrounding the Chinese balloon being shot down, China could decide to do something crazy this week. I don't know. I don't like this whole balloon thing. They should have shot it down in Montana when it was over open field. There's a lot of open field areas in Montana in the Midwest that they could have shot it down before letting it fly across the entire United States. And who knows what was attached to it, what kind of data it was collecting. It could have been a biological weapon. It could have been EMP. It could be spy surveillance. They just let it go over the states way, way too long. They should have shot it down immediately. If that was our balloon in China, they would have shot it down, even if it was over a populated area. I mean, China just doesn't care. They would have shot it down if it was ours. So we should have shot it down. We shouldn't have let it cross the entire United States and shoot it down in the water. To me, that just shows how incompetent the government is. But that's just my opinion. That's all it is. So with that said, who knows what China is going to react to. They could do something really crazy, or we may not see anything. I don't know. But I don't know. China could invade Taiwan. They could say, okay, because you shot down our balloon, we're going to invade Taiwan. I don't know. It's hard to predict what's going to happen, but something probably could happen this week, so be prepared. you could end up seeing the market down 50, 100 points overnight. Well, SPY would be down 5 or 10 points overnight if something crazy happens. So just be cautious of that. Now with VIX, VIX is so low based on what's happening in the world right now, and bad earnings misses, a lot of drama with Ukraine, China, Russia, and rates and debt ceilings, credit card debt, car loans. I mean, there's just so much going on, and VIX is just really low. I think that we're going to get some kind of shocker in the next week. And plus, if you look at the weekly on VIX, it's just got such a sharp little resistance line right here. Under 1750 got bought, but I mean, it can go down to 17, even 16 at this point. But I'm just looking at this force. Whenever you get like it's forced down like this, you get a pop like this. So I'm kind of thinking we're going to get the same thing here. We're going to get a nice pop to 27, 28 in the next few weeks probably. So keep an eye on VIX. Eventually it's going to bottom out. To me, I'd be surprised if it gets underneath 17, but like I said, it can get down to 16. So if the lower it goes, the more I'd be interested in just adding and doing double positions, because VIX acts like a coiled spring. The more it's pressured down, the more it's going to have a violent bounce. I mean, pressure down, it bounces, pressure down, it bounces, pressure down, it bounces, pressure down, it bounces, and we're getting pressure down again. So it doesn't usually last that long. Anytime we have continuous making lows like this and like this and like this and like this and like this, we get that violent pop shortly after. So we're definitely due. I think everything lines up with all the big guns have already did their earnings, and drama that's going on. We could end up seeing that this week. So keep an eye on that. Now, Meta is one I'm watching. This thing is looking pretty, even though it's way outside the Keltner channel. Had an inside candle on Friday from Thursday, so I'd watch for puts underneath 180. If it gets underneath 180, we could see a pretty sharp decline for a gap fill. I get some support right here at the 170 area, then 160, then we get the gap support right down here. I mean, not gap support, gap fill down here at the 155 area. So definitely keep an eye on that. Also, we look at it's rejecting the RCT trend line on the weekly, and that ends up being a strong resistance point. So definitely like the idea of meta puts right there on underneath 180. So definitely keep an eye on that. BA, another one. It's hovering outside the Keltner channel on the weekly. It's consolidating a little bit. It could definitely pop more over 216, but I'm looking at it underneath the 204, 205 area. It's technically 206. So yeah, underneath 205, gets underneath 205. We can see a push down to 200, even down here to fill a gap into the 190. So definitely keep an eye on that. That plus the has not really gone back and retested this long weekly channel right here, which is right around the 170 area. RCT trend line is at I think right around 178. So we could definitely pull back to the 180s or even 170 to retest the RCT trend line or the channel that we've had developing for the last couple of years. So BA, definitely keep an eye on that. NVIDIA is another one I keep an eye on. Same thing, rejecting the RCT trend line on the weekly. That ends up being strong resistance. It touched it here and it just got slammed. Didn't get quite there because the 20 EMA slammed it. It didn't get there, but now it's here. It's got a bearish divergence going on. You see the RSI is making lower highs. It's making higher highs. So it's definitely diverging on the daily. So I would watch underneath. Go underneath this candle right here, like say 207. We're round down underneath 207 for push to 200. If we get down to 200, next big area would be this 195 area, 193 area. Then you get this 190 area. And, maybe it doesn't get below 190, but you get a lot of support right here between this candle and over here and the 20 EMA, and right here 190 will probably be a pretty strong area unless the market is just freaking out over some kind of news that's going on in the world. So definitely keep an eye on that. Tesla is another one. Tesla is getting to the 200 area. I didn't quite get to 200, got to 199. So I was actually looking at it right at 200, but now that it made an inside candle on Friday over Thursday, I would watch it underneath I could say 185 for push down to 180, 170. You get gap support right here at 155. Then if it gets below 155, 150, it'll probably end up being support. Probably might overshoot 150 support to close the gap down to 147. So I have to see if that actually does happen or not. Again, the bodies are outside the Keltner channel. That doesn't happen too often, and when it does, it usually ends up coming back in at least to test the 20 EMA or the middle Keltner channel, which is the same thing on that one. So definitely keep an eye on that. Microsoft I had up, but I didn't go over. It's resisting, getting a little resistance right here at the 265 area. Last time it was up here, rejected. Well, went over it a little bit right there. Rejected there, rejected here, rejected here. So we'll have to see if it does continue rejecting. We got a green candle on Thursday, red candle on Friday. Nice little down rated down to the gap support. So if it does manage to break gap support, I need 257. We'll look for a drop to 250. It does get below 250. 245, 240. If it gets below that, we get 235 and 230. So definitely keep an eye on Microsoft too. Now this week could be very, very, very volatile based on, like I said in the beginning of the video, with the thing with China and possibly Russia and Ukraine. And also got to talk about that all these tanks that are going in Ukraine, Russia could end up doing something crazy too. So don't think Russia's done either. So a lot of unknowns happening. VIX is just way too low for the amount of unknowns that are happening and bad ER misses and stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting week. You don't want to miss it. So that's going to do it for the watch list. And thanks for watching.